I hauled overweight in my day, I'll admit it. Tons over, more times than I should have. And I got away with it. But the load that finally bent my trailer wasn't heavy. Not on paper. It was small enough I could have near about wrapped my arms around it. And it bowed the back of my truck like a green branch. Now, how does a little thing do that when all those tons never could? Let me tell you, because it taught me something I never forgot. It started out as the easiest job on the board. The dispatcher called it a milk run, one piece, short haul, in and out. You'll be home for supper, Dale. And when a load is one single item, you let your guard down. There's nothing to strap down 100 times, nothing to count, nothing to shift. Just one thing sitting on your deck. How much trouble could one thing be? That right there, that was my first mistake. Now, understand something about me. I took real pride in how I loaded a truck. Any fool can pile freight onto a deck, but a good driver reads it. You lay the heavy things low and even. You spread the weight end to end, side to side. You balance it over your axles. A well-loaded trailer rides like a dream. A bad one fights you all day long. For 30 years, I'd loaded them right, which is exactly why what I did next has no excuse. I knew better. Because when I got to the dock, there it sat, a single coil of steel. Now, if you've never seen one, a coil of steel doesn't look like much. It's not tall, it's not wide. This one was no bigger than a kitchen table. You'd walk right past it and think nothing of it. But steel is heavy in a way your eyes can't judge. That little coil weighed as much as a loaded pickup truck, maybe two. All of it wound up tight into one small, dense, innocent-looking package. The forklift brought it over and set it down, dead center on my deck. One spot, right in the middle. I stood there a second, looking at it. And I said to the shipper, "You want to spread that out any? Lay some timber under it." He barely looked up from his clipboard. "It's underweight, driver. You're legal. Sign here." And behind me, the dock was backing up, trucks waiting, a man tapping his pen, everybody in a hurry but that coil. So I let it go. I let a fellow with a clipboard talk me out of 30 years of knowing better. And here's the thing that fooled me. The numbers were perfect. They set it on my deck, and I pulled onto the scale. Total weight? Legal. Under the limit with room to spare. Every axle? Legal. On paper, it was a beautiful load. Clean, simple, right by the book. The scale looked up at me and said, "Yes, everything's fine here, driver." So I signed for it, and I rolled. I should have known. The scale can only weigh one thing, and it's not the thing that matters most, because something nagged at me. Right from the start, they'd set that coil down dead center on my deck. One spot, all of it, in one spot, and the rest of my trailer, just empty. Now I'd spent 30 years spreading loads out. You learn to lay the weight along the whole deck. Nice and even, end to end. And this was a fist of steel, sitting in the middle of a whole lot of nothing. Something in my gut said, "That's not right, Dale. Spread that out, or don't take it." But the paperwork was clean, and the clock was running, so I told that feeling to hush. I have regretted it ever since. Here's what I wasn't giving its due. A trailer isn't just rated for how much it can carry. It's rated for how that weight is spread out. They build it to take a load, laid evenly along the whole deck. Spread out, that trailer can carry a mountain. But pile it all into one little spot, and everything changes. Now all those pounds are pressing straight down, through a few square feet of floor, onto 2 or 3 cross members, onto one short stretch of the frame. Underneath that deck run the cross members. Little steel beams holding your floor up. Spread the weight out, and they all share it. Pile it in one spot, and just 2 or 3 of them carry the whole terrible thing. And steel that's asked to do too much has only one answer it can give. It's not the pounds that bend a trailer. It's the pounds with nowhere to spread. Let me put it to you simple. Say you weigh the same as me. Now I can lay my hand flat on your shoulder, and you'd hardly feel it. That's weight, spread out. But take that very same hand and press it all down into one fingertip, right into your arm. Now it hurts. Now it leaves a mark. Same weight, same hand. All that changed is how much of it was touching you at once. That coil was one finger, pressing down, on the same spot of my trailer, mile after mile after mile. For a while, everything seemed fine. Then, somewhere out on the highway, the truck started to feel wrong. A little pull I couldn't explain. The trailer riding lower than it should. And a sound. A low groan from the steel underneath me, every time I crossed a bump. Like the trailer was trying to tell me something. I turned the radio down to listen, and I finally started to pay attention. To the very thing my gut had warned me about. 100 miles back. So I pulled over at a wide spot, climbed down, walked around back, and I looked, and my stomach just dropped. The frame rail had bowed. There was a slow, sad curve in it, right there under the coil. A place that used to be dead straight was straight no more. The deck had dished down under that steel, My trailer had a bend in its back, a permanent one. It didn't happen in a bang. There was no crash. It happened quiet, slow, mile by mile. The steel just gave up an inch at a time. Now there's a word for what happened. Engineers call it yield strength. It means this: steel can bend a little and spring right back. Push on it, let go, and it returns to true, up to a point. But push past that point, and the steel doesn't come back anymore. It stays bent. That coil pushed my frame past its point, not all at once, a hair at a time, over all those miles. Each bump bent it the tiniest bit more, and it never sprang back, until the bend was there for good. I limped it the rest of the way, babied every railroad track and pothole, wincing the whole time. I delivered that coil, and then I stood there in the yard, looking at the ruined back of my trailer. Doing the arithmetic, that load paid me a couple $100. Fixing what it did ran into the thousands. That's the cruel math of it. The cheap load turned out to be the most expensive one I ever hauled, and it didn't end with the repair bill. That trailer went into the shop, and a trailer in the shop is a trailer that isn't earning. For days, it just sat there. Days I wasn't hauling a thing, and I had to make the call to my carrier, explain how the easy load bent my rig. That's a hard phone call to make, standing there with your hat in your hand, telling on yourself. The lost days hurt worse than the bill did, because those you never get back. Now, I could hand out blame all day. The shipper set it down wrong. One spot, no spreading. The scale told me it was legal. The clock was pushing me out the gate. All true, but I'll tell you where the blame really sat. It sat in my seat. I was the driver. I signed that paper. The trailer was mine, and my own gut had warned me, plain as day, and I overruled it. You can share the blame with a lot of folks, but at the end of it, the man who turns the key owns the load. That one was on me. And the worst part? The fix was nothing. If they'd have laid down some heavy timbers first, good thick dunnage, under that coil, it would have spread the weight out, across more of the frame, over the strong points. 10 minutes of work. A few pieces of wood? That's all it would have taken. Do it right, it cost you 10 minutes. Do it wrong, it cost you a trailer. I think about that more than I'd like to admit. How small the right thing would have been. After that day, I changed. I never signed for a load I hadn't looked at with my own two eyes. I never let a shipper's, "Aw, it's fine," talk over the feeling in my gut, and I never again mistook legal on the scale for safe on the road. Because the scale weighs your pounds. It does not weigh your judgment. It can't tell you where the weight is sitting. Only you can see that, and only you have to live with it. And I'll leave you with the big one, because that trailer taught me something that had nothing to do with trucks. It's the same with people. It was never really how much a man is carrying that bends him. I've seen fellas haul a mountain of trouble and stand up straight under it, because they spread it out. They set some of it down. They let folks help hold it. And I've seen a man break under something that looked like nothing from the outside. One small grief, one worry, because he kept it all pressed into one spot, wouldn't spread it, wouldn't share it, and even a little weight, concentrated like that, will bend your frame. So spread your load, in your truck and in your life. They straightened my trailer mostly, pulled it and worked it, and got it close. But you could always find that bend, after, if you knew where to look, a faint memory of a curve in a rail that used to be straight, like a scar. It hauled freight for years more, that trailer. It did its job just fine, but it never sat quite true again. Some bends, you don't get all the way back. You just learn to carry the mark. So if you take one thing from an old man, take this. Don't just ask how heavy a thing is. Ask where the weight is sitting. Watch how it presses. And when that quiet voice inside you says something's not right about this one, believe it. It is almost always right. I paid for that lesson with a trailer. You can have it for free. Spread your load and keep it between the ditches out there.